All right, so another week of Road to the Title Season 3 is in the books. If you can believe it, man, time is flying. I swear to God, as you get older, time goes faster and faster, and I never believed anybody when they said that, but they were not lying, man. Time is absolutely flying. Happy Friday to everybody. Today I'm going to go over the Tracy versus Melendez fight because I personally thought that this was the best fight on the episode. Just some broad notes about the fight. Yeah, this was super high level. I mean, we've seen Dominic before, although we couldn't take too much away from it because it was a pretty quick fight against Joe Landman. And then, obviously we'd never seen Tracy before, so wasn't sure what to expect from him. But anyway, it was a welterweight fight. Tracy came in at 170.5 pounds, so must have been cutting some weight. And then Melendez came in at 168.5, so I don't think he was cutting any weight. He actually competed at middleweight, I believe, in his previous fight, and I mean, that's just ridiculous. If you look at him, I mean, 168.5, and I thought he did pretty well, but if you look at his physique, I mean, he still has some body fat he can lose. I personally think that Dominic should be fighting at 155. I really do. I think he should have been in the lightweight tournament, if anything. But regardless, it was a good fight. And so for Dominic, again, he competed against Slappy Joe Landman and got knocked out. I went back and watched it just because I was curious, and to be honest, it's funny because it was a rare miss by your boy because I didn't even recognize him, man. I didn't even recognize him. I've definitely seen that fight before, but I didn't recognize him until they said it, so shame on me. But yeah, he got hit by one of the cleanest shots you'll ever see by Joe Landman. I mean, you can't even knock the guy for his previous performance. I mean, that strike was beautiful by Slappy Joe. So I wasn't sure what to expect as far as his chin goes, but he ate some shots, man. He ate some shots. Seems like a super cool guy, and I was happy to see him get a second shot. I hope that they give him a third shot, but I hope he goes down to 55 because, again, he just looked like he had some excess body fat that he could shed that does him no good as far as slap fighting goes. And then for Tracy, so he was an interesting cat. He was an interesting cat. Anytime somebody in their training footage has a bob in their crib, generally a good sign. Generally a good sign. You could tell this guy was a fan of the sport, and his mechanics were just absolutely flawless. So, yeah, when I saw that he had a bob in his basement, I knew that he was going to be pretty good. But, the $1 million question, the great equalizer, can you take a slap? And, he could certainly take a slap. His appearance was pretty misleading. Like when you see him with his clothes on, I mean, dude, I swear to God, I just saw him at Best Buy last weekend. But when you see him, like he took his shirt off when he was on the scale, and he's actually yoked. So, this guy could not be more misleading. If you drew this guy, like, and you just saw him, like, out of everybody with his clothes on, like, you'd be like, hell yeah. And then you see him throw a hammer, and you're like, so anyway. Almost 100 points in slap score differential. Not that matters a flying fuck of a bit. It does not matter, man. The slap score just continues to get embarrassed. But regardless, yeah, with that said, let's get into the fight. So Vin won the toss and he was slapping first. And on Vin's first slap, it was a good one. It was a good slap, and it was clean. It was super clean. Again, this guy's striking was polished, dude. It was polished. It's some of the best we've seen on the show, as far as mechanics go. And you could tell that he had a little bit more in him. Like, it landed super clean on the button, but you could tell, or at least I thought I could tell, that he just had he could put a little bit more juice on it. Maybe he was being extra cautious because he didn't want to foul. Maybe he was a little nervous. I don't believe he's ever competed in any sort of combat sport before. So to think that he wasn't nervous up there is ridiculous. I bet you he was. But regardless, it was a good strike. It was clean. And Dom's chin was way in the air, man. His chin was straight up in the air. I've mentioned this before, and I'll say it again. It's not what you want to do, man. You want your like, you can't hide your chin, but you want it tucked to the point where it's vertical, and like, you just need to be able to leave like a gap in between. Like, it should be straight up and down with enough room to like slide your hand underneath your neck, like in between your neck and your hand, if you're holding your hand on your chin when it's vertical. So that's really position A as far as how to take a slap goes, where your chin should be. And this kid's chin was like straight in the air. I hated that from him, and I think it ended up costing him later on down the road, but he was able to eat it. I was impressed with Dom as far as like coming back and being able to take slaps. I mean, he ate some good shots. I mean, obviously ended up getting knocked out, but you can't really go by that because some strikes are just perfect. But yeah, it was a good strike, and Dom was able to eat it. And then on Dom's first slap, dude, he rocked Vin. He rocked him, man. This was a huge shot, and I was super impressed by the work that Dom's put in on his striking, because this was as clean of a slap as you will see, my friends. Like, Dom's first slap was one of the cleanest slaps I've ever seen. It could not have been more right on the button, and it rocked Vin. The toughness of Vin was really on display. The catcher actually stopped him from falling down. And I know that he said in some interviews that he didn't think he was going to fall. I love you, Vin, but you were definitely falling. There was a 0% chance you were staying on your feet there if the catcher doesn't stop you. And it's not a bad thing. I mean, dude, it was a perfect slap. But, you know, Vin was able to recover, was super impressed by his toughness, and yeah, he was able to play it off. You could tell that he was way more hurt than he showed. He was able to channel his inner actor and really play that shit off, and I was impressed by that. That's a good sign. That is just as much of a skill as anything else, man. There's a few big skills. You need to be able to give a slap, you need to be able to take a slap, and you need to be able to play that shit off even if you're rocked. Straight up. Like, it honestly wouldn't even be a bad idea for some strikers to literally like get some acting training. I swear. It wouldn't be a bad idea. And then on Vin's second slap, dude, it was a monster slap. It knocked Dom down, but Dom, again, he was able to eat it and he was able to recover. And this was some of the funnier coaching that you'll see from Austin Turpin, because he was like, look to the left, to the right, take it back now, y'all. Like, he did the Casper slide, and I was dying laughing, bro. That shit is so funny. In the moment, too. I mean, you could tell that's not scripted at all. That's just grade A material from Austin Turpin, and that's why you have him as a coach. That guy is must-see TV at all times. And, yeah, I thought that was absolutely fucking hilarious. And then, yeah, shout out to the Chief. He's commenting on my shit. I'm about to mute this. All right. And then on Dom's second slap, Dom got hit with a clubbing foul. There's a couple things that I want to say about this strike. So first of all, I bet you people are going to complain about it being a club because it barely even hit him. But again, I've said it a million times. There is levels to clubbing, and this shot was just not in the legal target area. So that's a club, dude. Straight up. If you throw a shot, even if it hits with an open hand and it is outside of the range of a legal strike, it is a club. And so it was the right call. It was also a step. If you go back and look. So whether he got called for the club or the step, he was getting called for something. And this is very important. And I want to make sure I'm very clear here, because this just shows how rocked Dom was, because there is absolutely no way if you're all there, there's no way that you are going from throwing an absolutely perfect slap to throwing that. There's just no way. There is absolutely no way. And he even stepped on it too. And so that's how you know that he was still rocked. Dom was still, I don't care what he says, what anybody says, he was still rocked on that second slap. And again, it barely touched his face. Like, his fingertips, like, barely caught the front of his chin. So, it was a situation where, like, it would have been better to just not slap at all. Like, just forfeit the slap because you wouldn't lose a point. But, yeah. About as bad as a second slap as you can do from Dom, but I don't really blame him because I don't think he was even there. And what I want to say too is, this was so like in the Dakota fight, the chemistry between him and Austin Turpin was like noticeable and feelable, and it was the same way with Vin and Trujillo here. I mean, Vin seems like the kind of guy that needs to be calm and cool and collected when he's up there to perform at his best, and I thought that Trujillo was tailor making his coaching to Vin. Like, he was hyping him up, but not too much, keeping him there, motivating him, and yeah, you could really feel the chemistry. And then on Vin's third slap, bro, Vin's third slap, it does not get much cleaner than that, man. It was so fucking crispy, so clean, right on the chin. And again, it was a chin that was straight up in the air, and if it wasn't connected to his neck, that shit would be in Arizona. Like, he was so far gone on that. That was an absolutely perfect slap. I want to be very clear, and you heard it here first. Do not sleep on this guy. Do not sleep on Vin. This guy is the real fucking deal. And to be honest, out of all the middleweights that I've seen so far, he's impressed me the most, and I would not be surprised if he's far down the line in the show, man. This guy looks polished. The only thing you could really critique, or like the unknown about him coming into the fight, was his chin, and he ate a monster shot. And then not only did he eat a monster shot, he was able to recover and land well on his next slap. Like, he got better after he got hit, which is usually not the case. I was so impressed with Vin. Like, again, I think he's a dark horse in this competition. I think just by looking at him, if you stand him up next to some other middleweights, you wouldn't necessarily think that he'd be the best, but I think right now, out of everybody that I've seen, he's looked the best at middleweight. I know we still got my boy the Chief coming up, so we'll have to see what he does, but as of today, I think that Vin had the best performance out of any of the middleweights. And yeah, super excited to see what he does, and I'm super excited for this next week coming up. We got my boy Brandon Rhodes coming up. I'm looking forward to seeing him. Shout out to Brandon Rhodes. And then, yeah, moving on to the second round. Really good to see these fights trending back upwards. And yeah, happy Friday to everybody out there. It's hot as shit in here, so I gotta cut this video because I'm gonna sweat to death. I'm about to be fighting at 45 if I don't cut this video. So yeah, we'll catch y'all on the next one.